What's up, everybody? My name's Game Over, and welcome to another Twitch streamers and YouTubers as D&D characters. I'm going to take these Twitch streamers and YouTubers and turn them into D&D characters. I've already done this like 3 other times, but I'm doing this again because I want to round out my friends. Like I want to finish off my friends in D&D, and I also want to get a couple of their friends to be in it as well. So we're gonna be doing like Artemis, Apola, Gustav. We're gonna be doing those people and a couple more. So let's get going. Also, this might be in different orders, so you might see me in different clothes because it will be a different day of recording because my script is up the wazoo because I'm trying to get this out in whatever time I can get it out. So just know that's what's happening. Now, I'm gonna do Gustav. I was kind of going back and forth between whether I should take Gustav's D&D character seriously or if I should do the joke, because I could easily make a joke out of Gustav's D&D character saying that he's not actually a bear, he's just a druid that's dressed up like a bear with a very high deception skill that makes everyone think that he's just a sentient bear. I could easily do that, and that's absolutely funny, like the idea of a druid who's dressed up in a bear costume and is just has such a high deception that everybody just believes he's a bear. that is so incredibly smart, funny. I love it, and I wish I had a D&D campaign where someone actually did that. But Gustav's my friend, and I don't want to make a joke out of who he is as a character. So, let's do this. First off, the race that Gustav is going to have is a druid. I'm going to be going off of some of the original backgrounds I used when I did this the first time in my first episode of YouTubers and Twitch streamers as D&D characters. So he is a druid because nature, he understands that stuff. Like you could say that instead of having every single animal creature in D&D be a druid, you could have it be, oh, they're not a druid, they're just a nature cleric. But nature clerics don't necessarily have the characteristics of creatures that live in the forest. So I would like to put Gustav in the druid subclass of this. Not to mention, I would say he also gains the class ranger. He would also be a ranger because I would imagine that he has a knowledge of the forest. He's able to track creatures that are in the forest in order to get to his food if he's not using his teleportating fridge. But he also knows, like, if he were to leave home, walk 500 Ks, he would know how to get back. So I would like to think that that's how this goes. So I would say he's a druid ranger. For his race, D&D 5e was very helpful with us to add in a bear race. Yes, apparently the people who made D&D thought it would be great to add in a bear race as well, because you could not be creative with the druid that has a high deception that makes everyone think that they're a bear. This race is called and I'm sorry if I cannot pronounce this right because this name is very weird, Yursin? I'm just gonna call it your scene. Your scene. I'm gonna call it your scene, even though that's not even how it's spelled. So this race is basically like bear-like humanoids, and they're mostly found where you would find Gustav, like in forests. Some of them even live in mountains, so that's pretty flippin' cool. I would suggest not hugging these guys though, because they are very easy to make angry, or at least that's how they are in the normal D&D 5e rulebook. You can flavor this up to however you want. I'm just going off the rulebook. Now, for the background, I was originally going to give it the forest critter, like I did in the first episode of this, where I gave Silvervale and all that the forest critter background, because they are animals. But I want to give Gustav a little something different for his character. You see, Gustav canonically, and you can ask him this because he confirms it, he has a fridge that's basically an interdimensional portal to every single fridge in existence, so then he can steal people's food. Now, because of this interdimensional fridge, I decided to get the smart idea that he's instead a Fey child. Again, if you do not know the Fey, and you didn't watch my previous episodes, basically, the Fey is a dimension, is a plane of existence that's basically just a massive forest, and mythical magical creatures live there and kind of cause mayhem. If you go in there, the mythical creatures there are most likely just going to make you have a really bad time and make you want to leave. And on the worst end of that scale, they'll transform you into something that you don't want to be, or just straight out kill you. I would like to think that because there has to be a way in order to get to the Fey realm, there has to be a way to get there, otherwise nobody would even know that it exists. So I would like to think that Gustav is probably one of the protectors of one of the interdimensional portals that send you to that plane of existence, and his fridge being one of them. He just misuses it a lot, where the fridge can be used to teleport you into the Fey world. However, he uses it to open the fridge and steal people's food from the mortal plane. And that is why he's from the Fey. I wanted to do something cool, so I did that. And because it's a massive forest, it would make sense why your scenes would be in there in the first place. And so that is Gustav in D&D. He is a druid ranger. His race is a Ursine, and his background is a Fey child. You're welcome! Alright, so it's time to do Artemis and Apollo. I'm doing them both in the exact same column because they're twin sisters. They basically got the same thing going for them, just one thing is different, or two things. I'll probably have to change their classes around, or like, you'll understand what I mean. Let's just get into this. We're going to start with race. We're going to start with race because these two are both semi the same, but there's one irritating thing that's going to make this really flippin' difficult. And that is the fact that Apollo is an angel celestial. So she's an angel goddess, while Artemis is a demon goddess. Now, Apollo, it's easy. Because she is both half angel and also, because she's also an angel and also a goddess, she's just a straight celestial. That's her race. She's a celestial. She's come from heaven itself to greet us. That's her race. Artemis. Artemis, just throw out the rule book, okay? She is somehow both a celestial and a fiend demon. So after about, I would say, an hour of me researching D&D and trying to figure out a way that this would work, it doesn't work like this. So I have to fix this myself. I have to add some homebrew into this. So wind me up, watch me go, sit back, and get ready. So for this to work, we're going to create a new race of sort of demon god hybrid. You see, in D&D, there's this thing where races are usually crossbreeded with other races. Like, it's a completely normal thing. If there isn't a race in D&D that is defined by having intercourse with a specific race, like there are half orcs, there are half elves, like there are all these things here, but if it's not classified in the actual player handbook, it can be chalked up to you being a halfling. What we're going to do now is we're going to create something called a half demon. So what we're going to say is that Artemis isn't entirely demon. Part of her is still celestial, which is why she can be a twin sister with her, with Apollo. We're going to say that half demons have sort of the exact same fire resistance as tieflings. We're also going to say that half demons can both go in and out of their demon form, so they gain the ability polymorph. And we're going to say that because she is half demon, half demons gain the ability to have true sight. So that's basic. There's no other real massive things for a half demon. I mean, you gain like I would say you would gain like a +2 in Constitution. You would gain a +1 in Wisdom. Charisma would be a +1. Actually, no, wait. Charisma would be a -1. Uh, or like minus uh, charisma, and that would basically be it. Like, this is just your stare. This is how I'm gonna chalk up to her being a demon. So she's gonna be a half demon. That's her race. So Apollo is a celestial, and Artemis is a half demon. Next, we're gonna go with classes. Artemis, who, because I started out with Apollo, we'll go with Artemis first. Artemis is going to be a bod fighter, because Artemis, she has proven that she's been able to sing, and she's very entertaining over on Twitter. Go check her out to understand what I mean. But also, according to her, she has her own weapon that transforms into basically any weapon she thinks of. It's mostly a scythe. She mostly has it as a scythe, but it can also turn into a gun, which can also turn into a sword, which also, it can change, and it can change into anything. So I would say that she's a fighter, because a fighter has to be able to use multiple different types of weapons. A fighter isn't just proficient in using a sword or using a crossbow. Fighters are proficient in using swords, crossbows, short swords, daggers. You name it, they're proficient in it. They have to train for a long time in order to use all those weapons. And I think that chalks up Artemis to a T. Apollo is a little bit harder, mostly because I have not heard much about Apollo, so I'm just going to go off of what I've seen on her Twitter and how I chalk up her personality to, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to say that Apollo is a bod. She is a bod as well, because she also does pretty much the same thing as Artemis when it comes to Twitter, but I'm going to say that instead of her being a fighter, she is instead a warlock. Now, I know you're raising your eyebrows because she is a goddess, and you would think a goddess would be a patron instead of being a warlock. Who's giving her her powers? Who is, like, if she's a goddess, where is she getting her power from? If she's a warlock, then that means she would have to be getting her power from somebody. So why is she a goddess? That is very simple. Her power comes from her jewelry. In a tweet that she did ages ago, she said that her powers are being held back by these jewelry that's affixed to her ears. So, from how I'm going to play this out, I'm going to play this out because you don't just need a patron in order to become a warlock. That's not the only way you can become a warlock. You can also become a warlock by having a magical item that's attuned to your body. Now, I'm going to say these items that are affixed, these jewelry that's affixed to Apollo's body, it's like a Patreon, where Patreons will make a deal with a human in order to get them to take their power. In return, they get their soul, or they get to come to the mortal plane, or they'll get the human to do something. Apollo's items are kind of like that, where it's a give and take, where the items themselves infuse Apollo with her power. Well, I'm saying Apollo, it's Apollo, sorry. The items themselves give Apollo power, and in return, it also hinders her physical and magical abilities. So therefore, it's kind of holding her back while also giving her power. If she were to take off the jewelry, the power would just erupt, flowing through her body, and she would just go out of control. So I'm going to say this is how it works. It's probably completely incorrect. It's probably dead wrong, and that's nowhere near the lore. But in order to get her as a D&D character, without me having to learn about her lore or asking her multiple questions on Twitter, which I don't want to do. I don't want to just bombard her with questions because I feel as though I'll annoy her. So to not annoy her, and also to get the answer that we're looking for, she is a bod warlock. where her Patreon is the jewelry she's wearing that also hinders her and gives her power. And if she takes off the jewelry, she'll go bananas with magical power. She'll be too powerful to stop, and it will be an entire adventure to stop that goddess. So that's how she's so incredibly powerful, but she could be even more powerful. Last, we are going to go with background. Both of these two are going to share the exact same background because they are twins and they are both goddesses, in which the background they are going to be is God-touched. To read off of the actual description, a person who is God-touched is someone who has had some form of interaction with a god or goddess that left them in their current state, as a reward or something cruel. God-touched people are gifted in situations regarding the mind and given a clearer way of thinking about the world around them. Now, again, you guys are probably raising your eyebrows, saying, wait, God-touched? How are they God-touched if they are the gods? Don't tell me that they're God-touched because they are gods. Well, I'm going to play it like this. Because they are both twins, that means that they weren't just born from the universe. They aren't just made like how gods are made in flippin' mythology and also in media nowadays, where they don't have parents, they just kind of exist. It's going to work more like Greek mythology, where gods actually gave birth to other gods, and gods are actually husband and wife with other gods, and all that stuff. It's going to work like that, where Artemis and Apollo, not saying which god they came from, they are both sisters and daughters of two other gods. Where those gods are now, we have zero clue, but they are still twins, which means that because they were birthed by another god, that would mean that they are technically God-touched. Godly beings. And that makes them their celestial, and that makes them celestials. Apart from Artemis, who's still flipping confusing because she is both a celestial and also a demon, so again, chopping it up to a half demon. And with that, I did flipping Artemis and Apollo. I thought that this was going to be way harder than it originally was, and for Artemis, it was, but I managed to do it, so take that. Artemis is a half-demon bard fighter who has the God-touched background, and Apollo is a bard warlock who is a celestial with the God-touched background. Done did it! Nice. I hope you guys are happy. Okay, so we're gonna continue with the gods and goddesses trend I'm gonna go for with this video, and we are gonna do Mizaru Kazeno. I probably botched that name, I apologize. Mizaru is a celestial star bear, so you already know how this is gonna go. It literally has the name in the flippin' tag, so let's get right into this. Mizaru's race is going to be a celestial. It's obvious. He's going to be a celestial. However, we're going to do something along with his race. It's this is hard to explain. Like, I know that I did Gustav with Yersin, a sort of sentient bear race. And Mizaru is a celestial star bear, so you would think that his race would just be a bear. But here's the thing, we need to get that nature pod into him as well, so I'm gonna say his class is druid, his race is celestial, and no wait, yeah, his race is celestial. His class is druid, race is celestial, and his background, I will say he is a Fae child. I would say this god resides in the Fae. I would say that his natural, home is the Fae, but as a celestial god himself, he's able to leave and come wherever he pleases. He can create portals in order to leave the Fae and then come back to the Fae whenever he wants. This is his domain. He rules over this land. While he may not be the single one ruler, he is a ruler among many. Another thing that I want to do with his class is that I want to give him the Bod class as well. So he's multi-classing into Druid and Bod because he's a chef, he's a singer. This seems like a good fit for him. He's a Bod, Druid, Celestial. Let's do the overview properly. So his class is a Bod Druid, his race is a Celestial, and his background is a Fey child. Wow, I'm really flippin'... I sped run through that. Next we're gonna go with Arturo Asashi. I probably botched that name as well. I am sorry. So with Arturo, he's a sun god. Definitely not confusing, but in all seriousness, this is actually easier than Apollo's because while Apollo was a angel celestial, Arturo will just be a celestial. He's just a god. He's not an angel, he's a god. So, with his race, we will put him down as celestial because godhood. For his class, I'm gonna say he is a sorcerer because I would not say that he's necessarily trained for many years to use his powers, but I wouldn't necessarily say that his powers come from jewelry or a specific other person, kind of like how I suggested with Apollo. Or who knows, maybe his power comes from his mask or something, I don't know. I tried to do as much research as I could, but I could not find much. So, his class is going to be Sorcerer, his race is going to be Celestial, and for his background, I will say he is God-touched. Like, Artemis and Apollo, he wasn't touched by a god. A god didn't give him his powers. However, he would have had to have been born by someone, like in Greek mythology. He would have had to have somebody birth him so then he could be a god and have his powers. So, that's where my thought process ends at it. So, there we go. He is a sorcerer, celestial, and background is God-touched. I think that was even faster. Okay, I'm adding this in because I want to, so this time we are doing Mana Yu. She's a friend that I've just gotten recently, and I want at the time that I'm making this clip, and I want to add her in just to round out my friends, and also because you would think that a turtle VTuber would be hard to make in D&D, but it's exactly the opposite. This thing's flippin' easy as hell, so let's do it. So for her race, it will be completely obvious what she is. She is a turtle. Basically, there's a race in D&D called the Turtles, where they are basically massive turtle-looking creatures, and they basically just look like a fully walking turtle that gains sentience in order to talk and all that stuff. However, we're going to make some changes. First of all, we're going to give them more of a human-like figure with some obvious turtle features above their body, where you can like see their shells and all that, in order to make this make sense for Mana Yu, because she doesn't exactly look like a turtle, even though she is a sea turtle. Now, I would highly suggest not getting into a fight with this thing, because these turtle races have the highest AC in all of D&D. Literally, don't verse the level 20 turtle, no matter what the race is, because their high AC basically makes them unhittable gods, where you could try and hit them with a flippin' mallet and it would still somehow bounce off of their shelly exterior. So basically what I'm saying is, do not make Mana Yu angry, otherwise you're gonna get a massive shell shock. But yeah, she's very powerful, so don't step on her toes. For her class, because of her singing that she does on her channel, we are going to give her the Bod class. Also, she has a lovely personality that she presents on Twitch, so I'm just going to give her the entertainer side of the Bod as well. Another thing that I want to do is give her fighter. She's also going to have the fighter class because I want her, because I would think that as a maid, which is what she was going for, coming out of the sea and becoming a maid, looking for a husbando, that sort of thing, with that she would have, part of being a noble's maid or butler, some of that would be into fighting. while butlers and maids are usually taught to fight without weapons, I would like to think that she was taught with weapons, and she could also use her high AC plus her knowledge of weaponry in order to overpower her opponent. So that's why I'm also giving her fighter. So she knows how to use weapons. Very nice. And background. Now, this was the hardest part. Like, when I say that this was easy to make, it was easy, but this is the hardest part of doing this because while her background is that she came from the sea because she's a sea turtle and she went looking for husbandos, there's not really a background in D&D called from the sea. However, after looking through all the backgrounds from D&D 5e, I did find one that kind of just made me stop and question all life in reality. And that was one that's titled, Why Did They Make This a Thing? But also, while looking at that, near it was a background called Maid. Now, I would like to think that Mana has been training to be a maid. No one can just jump into a household and say, I'm your maid now. You actually have to go through the training, and the training is rigorous in order to put your needs aside in order to just think wholly of the family that you're serving. So I'm going to say that her background is maid. Now, it does say that the background needs to be as servant of a noble, meaning your background has to be that you have served somebody before, whether it's a royal family, a high-ranking noble. It says that for you to get the background, you need to have served someone before, while Mana Yu still is looking for someone to serve. But I'm willing to let that slide because, again, training to be a maid, in my mind, that allows her to have the background of being a maid. Because she has the knowledge, she knows how to do it, she just needs to serve somebody, and that's all that's kind of out of it. So I would just, push that to the side a bit. And there we go, that is Mana Yu, a turtle fighter bard with the maid background. Do not piss her off. And that's it. That's all of them. I did them all. This has been spanning over 5 days because I had to spend most of the time during those 5 days researching. And then after I was done researching, I had to write the script, which I didn't follow at all. And then, yeah. Then all of a sudden I add in Mana Yu right at the end. So that's exciting. There we go. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
But anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you think that any of the people that I've said is wrong, like if you think that they should have a different class or a different race or a different background, please let me know. Or if you want to fully flesh them out, give them stats, give them weapons. This is just a small thing that I do. If you guys like this very much, then maybe I might come back and do all the people that I already did, and I'll give them stats and weapons, and I'll just fully create them in D&D, so then you could just play as them. Like, this is just to set them as NPCs for you to set up. I could literally give them weapons and give them stats in order to fully flesh out the idea of them being in D&D, and then you can take those stats and play them in D&D if you really like this series. So please let me know by hitting the like button and also shouting out how much you love my insane ramblings. But anyway, thanks again, guys. I very much appreciate you guys watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please just hit that subscribe button to see more awesome and amazing videos that are just like this one right here. And please tell me what you thought of my decisions in the comments below. I'll be reading them all out, and who knows, I might even reply to some of them. But until next time, with no game to be over, bye-bye!